Welcome back to another Evil GT video. I am Lee, Uncle Benji is holding the camera today, and this is my 2019 McLaren 720S in a lovely Napier green. Lovely for this time of the year, the winter. And before I go any further, you guys have to subscribe to Evil GT. It's the best channel on YouTube. And if you are a regular viewer to the channel, you'll remember that there's usually an M3 sat here, but that is up for raffle at the moment, £3.99, levelupgiveaways.co.uk. Go and have a look at that. Buy one ticket, win, you know, an M3. What a great Christmas. Supercars should be amazing to own. It's a supercar, right? But there is certain things with supercars that are not exactly good, especially McLaren supercars. McLarens, as far as I know, do have a reputation for having panel gaps, and this car is no exception. That is a panel gap, and as you can see, it's as if the door is still open, and I can guarantee you that door is definitely shut. So that is one thing with this car that is quite frustrating, but it's just part of McLaren ownership. And as far as the rest of the car, it's not actually too bad, because the spoiler, as much as this is active aero, so it moves up and down all the time, it's an air brake, so when you slam on the anchors, it does come up quite good. Pretty cool bit about the car, actually. The gap on the top is pretty big. First time I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And it does drop in a bit there.
You should probably stop looking around this now, mate.
Yeah.
However, when you do look at the gap there, that is not too bad. But then you look at that, and I could probably put my thumb in there. But yeah, go on.
Okay, this is my video, stop talking. Front wings, not too bad. Bonnet,
yeah,
not too bad. Coming round to the front bumper, everything seems fine there, apart from, I don't know if that's normal.
What's this?
The way it sits down there, because as it comes up to the side, it does tend to level out.
And that goes flush, and that's sort of indented in there, okay.
Yeah, I thought if it's going to have panel gaps, because this is constantly moving,
yeah,
and that there is a panel gap.
Oh yeah, that's not...
Pretty big.
That is not flush.
It's not flush at all. The front's fine, but
that's good.
I can say, after being out in this, in the rain, it doesn't leak. So that's the main thing. I can deal with the panel gaps. What I'm struggling with, and I've heard people reject these cars purely over this fact, is there's a big noise coming from the front. And seeing though this is mid-engine, it should be coming from there. That's where the noise should be coming from.
Yeah, well done.
Like engine noise,
yeah,
not from the front.
Right.
So I'll tell you what I mean. As much as that is a noise, that's the noise. I'm not on about that noise, I'm on about a different noise. So that's a cold start off. So you should be able to hear this now.
That high-pitched whine, is that over your smooth FM or not?
Well, I'm just going to turn the radio off because I can hear it.
Absolute 80s.
So without the radio on, let's try that again.
That is noisy, that. That is loud.
So that noise, high-pitched whine, I mean, that's like something that comes out of your mouth. So, when you're driving the car, you can't hear it, obviously, because you're driving along and everything's fine. But it's when you just stood outside the car and maybe just sat inside the car at the lights and just, you can hear it. It's annoying. The technical reason, I think, from what I was told, is the suspension cans, the actuators, they look like little cans of Coke or whatever. That's what's making the noise, and there's no fix for it because McLaren say it's normal. So I've just got to deal with it. But what if I don't want to deal with it? Then I have to reject the car. There is another thing. While the door's open and just about to close, it's a little bit annoying because this has soft close, and sometimes the soft close doesn't work. But on that time it did work, so everything's fine. But every now and then that doesn't work, which, like I say, is quite annoying. And I've just had a thought, maybe that's why this has all the panel gaps, because people are closing the doors like that, soft close, even though it didn't soft close because it just shut on its own. But if it didn't soft close like this,
yeah, go on.
Maybe if you slam the door every now and then, maybe it wouldn't have the panel gaps. My advice to anyone speccing up a 720S, don't spec soft closed doors. If it is a spec option, because I bought this car second hand, if it is a spec option, just unclick it. Don't click it. Slam the doors, you'll get less panel gaps.
That's all you need is you, because you slam everyone's doors. So just take you around and you'll sort out the panel gaps, yeah?
I actually wrote down what I dislike about this car, but as I'm going around the car showing you what I don't like about it, other things are annoying me that I forgot that I don't like. And this is another thing. You open the door, the window comes down because it is frameless. What do you call it when you've not got that bit?
Yeah, probably frameless, yeah.
So obviously the window has to come down to go back up so it slits underneath there.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't go back up. So I've closed the door.
Yeah, so that door is properly shut. You've not just
yeah, it's closed.
It, yeah?
It doesn't look closed.
I was going to say, yeah, it might not be closed there.
And it doesn't go back up. So then you have to keep a hold of that and then it closes. Surely that's not right. Come on, McLaren. A couple of other minor things. One of them's my fault. The other thing is not. It's McLaren's fault. It's a very creaky car. So as you're driving it, you can hear creaks and knocks and bits and bobs just all the time, really. But you do tend to get used to it just because, well, like anything, a noise, you get used to it, don't you? So when I got this car, it had the original 2019 tyres. I'd only done 6,000 miles, but they were 3 years old. Not the best. The rubber had gone off a little bit, starting to crack. So I replaced them like for like. Well, not like for like, because these are Continental Sport Contact 7s, but the size is exactly the same as the OEM. But as you can see, they're now stretched. So Continentals are not the equivalent tyre size to the Pirellis that had come off it. So ideally, I need to go up. So I feel like these tyres are just going to end up going in the bin. I've had this car coming up for 6 months, and it's not too bad up to now. It's under warranty, which is the first big problem. When you own a McLaren supercar, the warranty per year on this car is £4,000. So for peace of mind, £4,000 a year. And I know it's a £200,000 car, but that's a lot.
It's a huge amount.
2% of value of the car every year is going into a warranty. So this car up to now has cost me the grand total of just the fuel, servicing. It's not needed its first service yet. MOT, it's already MOT'd. We've got trade insurance for all the cars, so we're insured up to £250,000 to drive anything. This is by far the worst car ever to run, fuel-wise, ever. And that's comparing it against a C8 RS6 that we did own a few months ago, probably about a year ago now. And that was a 4-litre twin turbo, exactly the same as this. So why is this so much more expensive on fuel? Well, it's down to that, isn't it?
Gotta be.
Let's say I'm getting about 8 miles to the gallon, which is obviously very, very, very expensive motoring. But this next service is coming up in about 7 months, and that's when it's going to start getting real, because the 4-year service on this, just the normal service, costs £800 or thereabouts, maybe even 900.
Just for an oil change? Just
for an oil and filter and a service. And the reason being is they have to take off quite a lot of stuff.
Right, what, panels-wise?
Panels-wise, yeah. Right. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
And it's all labour.
Well, can you ask them when they put the panels back on, they can just put them flush on, so they fit?
Hopefully they have to take the doors off and then put them back on again. Love this interior. Alcantara, leather mix, seats Alcantara, a bit of a leather in the middle. I absolutely love the interior. What I don't like about Alcantara is the way it wears. So when I picked this car up, the steering wheel was actually quite worn already, and I've not got around to cleaning it because I'm actually worried about doing anything to it, because I've been told, I don't know how true it is, this steering wheel is about £2,500 to replace. Again, supercar tax, because this in any other car would probably be about £500–600 maximum, but because it's got a little McLaren logo on it, add £2,000 to that. And there's one thing that doesn't usually happen on videos: the cameraman doesn't get a say. But on this particular occasion, Uncle Benji, I'll give him a look in, his favourite bit on this car is this bit. Have a watch. It goes see-through.
That's cool, that.
Amazing. But when it was sold to me, this car, that was part of the, the sales pitch. I'll do it again, and then it goes darker. And I can safely say, never used it. So there's one last thing. This isn't really a complaint. It's just a concern about owning a supercar, and it probably applies to most supercars out there. As you can see, this car, it looks amazing.
It's all right.
The colour's amazing. The styling's amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, you can't argue with that. Yes, it's not the most practical of cars. I'll give you that. But actually, I won't give you that, because
Here we go. Has it got a cup holder?
what more do you need in a boot? That's a pretty big boot, to
We
be honest.
definitely need that.
And I've had a couple of mid-engine, rear-engine cars now, and usually the front end, the boot space, is pretty small, but that is actually pretty big, really. You could nearly get a pretty big case in that. So, sorry about that interruption about the boot. What I was going to say is the body kits for these types of cars are the 5-figure price range. So I think CT Carbon do one. Makes it look a little bit 765 LT-ish, but the price tag on it I think is about £12,000, which doesn't need to be any better. I don't know. Maybe because you get the spoiler in carbon, you get the rear end diffuser in carbon, you get the side skirts carbon, you get some of the front bits, you get these with the louvres in carbon.
Nice.
Front, the bonnet, carbon. You get the front end, all this stuff. It's all in carbon, right? You get the idea, it's carbon. So if you do want a little bit of a modification, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And talking about modifications, I've got one coming up for this car, so that is a good reason to subscribe to the channel, because this is getting an exhaust upgrade, and it's getting an Inconel exhaust upgrade. And that's the kind of metal, steel, whatever it is. What is Inconel? Who knows?
Not a clue.
Anyway, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? So what it can do is it can cool down 6 times quicker than your regular stainless steel, which means these have a little bit of a tendency to set on fire. So
It's funny you should say that. I'm butting in. There was one on Instagram on fire the other day, but I didn't send it to you because that's a bit tight. I've got a solution to your expensive body kit.
okay,
Maxton Design. There you go.
forget all that negativity. There's loads of positivity with this car, right? And it needs to be driven to get over all them things. So let's go out for a drive. I wouldn't normally have the roof down at this time of the year because it's like 2 degrees, but the good thing about having the roof down is no panel gaps. So before I talk about all the great stuff on this car, just one last thing that's really annoying. When you press the R down there, eventually goes into reverse, and this is my view. So that's what I can see when I'm trying to reverse anywhere, which I don't really see what the point of that is.
Surely it wasn't that hard to put it there.
I would have been happier with that rather than a widescreen of something I can't see anything of. But the reason I bought this car is because I drove the 570S, I loved it, and I thought a 720S can only be better, and it is. When it stops wheel spinning. I don't want it to be driving around for ages just telling you how good this car is. It's just, all you have to do is take my word for it. It's amazing to drive, especially on roads like this. All those things that I've just gone on about, everything, every single thing, the noise at the front, the creaks, the panel gaps, everything, you just completely forget about it and just drive the car and enjoy the car. Sounds amazing, even though I'm going to get an exhaust on it. It's just, this car is by far the best car I've ever owned, the best car I've ever driven. It's just the best car ever for me. Obviously there's better cars out there, but I haven't got enough money for them, so I just have to stick with this one.
It's not wired up right, him, I swear to God. Does not give a f.
So obviously I do love this car. The beginning of the video, all that negativity, the stuff is there, all them faults and little things and niggles, they're all there on the car, but the way it drives, you just forget about all of that. It's just to drive so well. You love the car. I love the car. Anyone that's got one of these, I would think they love the car. So if you've enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Subscribe to Evil GT and like the video if you've liked it. Me and Uncle Benji, Ben 10. He's got loads of names, but if you want to see the next video we've got for you, subscribe and we'll see you then.
Yeah.
And before we go any further, you have to subscribe to Evil GT.
You know what you demonstrated before, putting them up? Do you want to put the window down?
I don't even know how to do it.
Press and hold unlock.
Just wants the lock.
Press and hold unlock. Should that not go down?
It's just flashing at me. Before we go any further, please consider subscribing to the channel Evil GT. Hit that like button as well and comment if you've got anything to say up to now, which if you have, that'd be weird because I've not really said anything. That is a pretty big boot. And I've had rear engine cars, midget cars.
I've had midget cars. That's good for me, that, isn't it?
And I've had rear engine midget again. Right, that's it.
For those who are wondering, he does have a thing about midgets.
Yeah, I'm working with one.